Would be an IPA, sir.
Okay, welcome to this very special edition of Degenerate Sports Talk. I'm your host, Paul Robinson. On this particular Super Bowl recap special, I'm obviously joined by my good friends Jason and Ken. And unfortunately, Mr. Gaskins, everybody's favorite redneck, is not able to join us tonight. So we've brought back not John Gaskins, but Mr. Shon McCullough, host of TNT Dynamite Fantasy Football podcast. Welcome back to the show, Sean. Boys, good evening. First things first, Super Bowl was an amazing game, absolutely fantastic, great to watch till the final 2 minutes. Those final 2 minutes, the refs just had to get involved, and they screwed the Bengals out of a win. We're going to talk about the missed calls, and there were a couple of them. There was a face mask by Higgins for Cincinnati for the first touchdown, and there were two blown calls for pass interference, which wasn't pass interference, and I believe holding, which nobody even on the replay saw. Just no, thank you. I don't know. It's kind of like the refs for me were kind of like, oh, here, LA, take the game, take the trophy, but. The one I think that annoyed me the most is after Matt Stafford's first interception, since he got a penalty for taunting, and all the dude did was get up and quite literally just go, yes, I got it, and ran over to his friends. And because there was a non-uniform player on the field, they got a taunting call. And I think, seriously, you've been letting the game go the entire way. The clock's been fantastic. The game's been moving and being very fluid. And you do that. I mean, seriously, the NFL has got to get this sorted because there's literally has been no consistency with this taunting call the entirety of the season. And it was a call that just really baffled me. I mean, the face mask, yes, there's a case to be made that he grabbed the mask. For me, it looked like he grabbed more of the strap of the chin than anything else. And to be honest with that, kind of like meh. But the holding call and the pass interference call for me, it was kind of like, here, Stafford, here, Rams, take the extra downs, go, do whatever you can. But for all in all, absolutely fantastic end to a fantastic playoff season, playoff sessions in the last few weeks. I mean, we've had some fantastic football. Yes, it ended up the Rams 23, the Bengals 20, and this won't be the first time that Joe Burrow ends up in a Super Bowl for me. I'm looking forward to seeing him win his first one, especially after that crunching tackle that happened. That it looked like he'd done something to his other knee as well. I mean, both quarterbacks went off the field, with possible injuries. Both of them decided to come back into the game. Let's face it, they weren't going to get carted off on a stretcher. You'd have to literally sedate those guys to keep them off the field. But I believe Burrow, Jason, you can confirm this or not, set yet another record for most sacks in a Super Bowl at 5, I think it was. Brings 7. So is it 7? Jesus, I lost count at 5. Okay, so if it's 7 in the Super Bowl, he had 12 in the playoffs, so that makes it 19, plus the 51 total for the season. I mean, the kid's been sacked 70 times this year. The Bengals have got to find him some O-line protection in the draft, or are they going to get him killed? But
so a fun stat to that, Paul. There was another quarterback that everybody loved that thought would be the savior of a franchise. In the first 2 years, that quarterback was sacked the same or 3 more than Joe Burrow just had on a playoff run that went to the Super Bowl.
Really?
Can you name the quarterback?
Jason, you go on.
Andrew Luck.
The quarterback is Mr. Andrew Luck.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know that.
Being the Indiana guy that I am, the Bengals will draft big boys. I do not see the Bengals making a pick in the first round this year. I see them trading back to the second, because then they can get more equity out of that 31st pick. But I see them going the first 2 to 3 guys being offensive linemen. Because if you know anything about Andrew Luck, what didn't he have in Indianapolis? That was an offensive line.
Same thing. Burrow's not got in Cincy. There's no O-line in front of him at the moment.
Burrow had weapons that finished. Luck had guys like Paris Campbell and gents that absolutely have flew the coop. So Joe Burrow is going to get help. Mike Brown has $50 million to spend.
Yeah.
A fun tidbit. He only has one starter on the whole team that's a free agent, and that would be number 30, who had one interception from Fort Wayne, Indiana, named Mr. Jesse Bates. So he will get paid to play in Cincinnati next year, but they will get a big line. They will be fine. Joe Burrow will be in the Super Bowl again, and the Andrew Luck numbers made me shocked also, but Joe Burrow was a professional class act. Everything he did this year, I mean, he has a fan in me since my name is not John Gaskins, and I can't do well next year.
Gaskins is the anti-Paul Robinson when it comes to a certain quarterback in LA. That's all that is, blessed cotton socks. But for me, I mean, the AFC at this point, the Bengals are the team to beat next year, aren't they? Or am I
would
wrong
say
in saying?
no.
Really?
I don't think they're the team to beat. I'll start the debate right now, and Ken's going to go one way. Jason is going to go to a team that I would assume right away, but I think it's the Bills. The Bills are the team to beat because if they put a couple more pieces for the Cowboy Josh Allen, they will beat Kansas City in Cincinnati next year.
That's not a bad shout, Jason. You've got some comments, maybe?
Since he hasn't fixed their line yet, until they do something about that line, I can't pick Cincy. I'm going to have to go with KC. I figure they'll get a little bit of a pass rush. That's what they were missing against Cincy. That's why they lost. They only gave them one sack, the lowest amount of sacks in the whole freaking playoffs for Cincy against Kansas City.
Yeah, that could typically be classed as an easy night for Joe Burrow, to be fair, considering the amount of sacks he's taken in the playoffs alone, let alone the main season itself. Ken, what do you think? I mean, the AFC, I mean, Bills is a good shout.
I like the Bills' choice. My only concern would be what kind of free agency, impact. What are they going to lose in free agency? That's my only concern with the Bills, because I don't know. So, I really have a hard time, but I want to see the Bills because I think they have a better D than Cincy. Burrows and Chase is everything to like, but Allen's a beast, man. Like he is. I have him.
To be fair,
money league. I had him.
Yeah, to be fair, the Bills Mafia themselves, they were very unlucky not to make it all the way to the Super Bowl themselves. They had a knockout, drag-out fights throughout the playoffs themselves. So, but c'est la vie. It was Cincy that got there. And for me personally, if they do trade the number 31 pick in the first round and get themselves a decent haul for second round picks, as Shon's alluded to, I think that they go big with the O-line and you go after some seriously top tier talent that you can get that would more than likely still be on the board at that particular point, whatever they get. And I think that, they are legitimate with the Bills, especially. I think they are legitimate contenders for team to beat for next year for the AFC, but that's just me. But I mean, let's go back to the Super Bowl itself. I mean, it was a very fluid game. I mean, it was back and forth. There was, a couple of interceptions by Stafford, Cooper Kupp again, who was the Super Bowl MVP. And, in some regards, a deserving winner of the MVP. He had what could only be described as a stellar cap-off to a stellar season for himself personally. I mean, he had the most amount of 100-yard finishes to games. He did the same sort of thing in the playoffs, scored a couple of touchdowns in the Super Bowl itself. I mean, Cooper Kupp were the MVP winner, but for me, he wouldn't have been my choice because without Aaron Donald, I don't think the Rams were in a position to do what they did towards the end without the big defensive plays that big man pulled off. I mean, the game-winning stop on 4th and 1 to end it all. How do you not give this guy the MVP if you're voting for MVP? I really don't get it. I mean, we'll get to the quarterback in a minute, but for me, I mean, was Donald the legitimate contender for Super Bowl MVP, or am I on a perch on my own here? Ken.
Oh no, I'm actually with you completely. That's who I was calling for. While the commercials ran, while they waited, I really thought Donald was going to get it up until I saw Cup on the stage. So I really thought Donald had it.
Shon.
I love AD, but I would say the MVP of that defense last night was Von Miller. I thought he had a great game. I think you could have went there. Aaron Donald deserved the MVP, but I think that defense as a whole, you could have gave it to the D line. That guy that shut down the run. Robinson. I mean, the guy came out of nowhere. He looked like a brick house. I mean, I love AD. I mean, he's great. I would have gave him the MVP over Cup, even though Cup scored the touchdown. So I'd have to say I jump on that perch with you.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, we'll get to the run games in a minute because obviously Cincy did really well shutting down the Rams run game. But I mean, Jason, back to the MVP thing for a second. I mean, again, are you gonna join us out here on this ledge for Donald as an MVP?
I picked Aaron Donald to win it before the game, so
good
I'm
man.
definitely on board with this. But I really think he didn't dominate early enough to win it to me, because it's when he got the face mask for knocking Burrow out, and then the offensive line came and like grabbed his face mask, and there was no penalty there. That after that happened, like he was a man on a mission. Like that's when he started picking up the sacks, the pressures, everything.
Yeah,
so to me,
it did come alive in the second half, I must admit.
Yeah.
But I mean, for Donald especially, I mean, if you watch the game and you watch the film back, I mean, you see, I mean, since he were putting most of the time, especially during the first half, when they were literally putting two guys on Donald and leaving guys to come in and start charging at Burrow throughout the entirety of the game. I mean, the guy was a beast all game. I mean, yes, he didn't go off to a fast start, but he went beast mode in the second half and just did what he does best and just getting his sacks, getting passing rushes and whatever else, and just genuinely doing the things that he's known for doing, and which has made him quite easily the best player in the NFL.
Not to toot my own horn, but what did I say about Joe Burrow and holding the ball before the game on Friday during our conversation? He held the ball the longest of any passer in the playoffs. In the first half, Joe Burrow was releasing the ball between 2 and 4 seconds, which was 3.5 to 4 seconds faster than what he did every game before the Rams defense. In the second half, Joe Burrow, if you look at the game.
His audio's cut out. Time out, Shon. Your audio's cut out, buddy. Or is my audio cut out?
No, it's
his.
Okay.
But I will say, if you run into the stats, it's the next gen stats. The Rams offense or defensive line beat Cincy's offensive line the most of any game all year. So like that's why, like, I think Donald deserved it, but I see why Shon is saying, anybody on that line could have won it, because I mean they just beat Burrow. Could have gotten like double-digit sacks if he was not running around like he was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was the small chance he could have set a new record in the playoffs, let alone in the single game, because it did look like that defense was chasing him around a little bit. But we're talking about the Rams defense, and as good as it was, and it was pretty stellar. I mean, since he weren't slouching either from a defensive side. I mean, they shut down Cam Akers in the Rams run game very dominantly. I mean, at one stage, I believe Akers was about eight receptions for about 12, maybe 15 yards towards the end. Before they managed to get him on a run that was longer than 4 yards. It was, I mean, the Cincy defense seemed to know when and where they were going to basically try and run Akers and shut it down in a hurry. I mean, you can't take anything away from the defense from that game. I mean, they played out of their socks for like they have done most of the whole of the the playoffs, especially. Anybody got thoughts?
Cam Akers only finished the game with 38 yards.
So this is why I'm saying. I mean, the Cincy defense effectively shut down Cam Akers and the Rams' run game.
I mean, Jason, did the Rams have any run game during the playoffs? I don't believe so, because I believe Stafford carried him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, they ran a bunch, but they did not get many yards, like 50s, 60s, like averaging. So this is the lowest amount of rushing yards for a Super Bowl winner in the history of the NFL.
Really?
Okay, I knew it was something.
Yeah, so I mean, but the thing was, I mean, when the game kicked off, the Rams were trying to establish that run game very early, and it got shut down extremely fast.
I think John Gaskins could have had more yards for the Rams than Cam Akers.
He may need to have more, to start walking more yards than at the moment. Anyway, bless his heart. But yeah, all right, let's get to my least favorite quarterback in the league, Matthew Stafford. He threw for 2 interceptions. Yes, he threw for 3 touchdowns. God help me. And I still didn't get my bingo card full. There was no pick 6, and I'm very, very annoyed at this. We knew he was going to be good for 2 interceptions. We knew he had some issues with the long ball when it came to being put under a little bit of pressure, especially when he's on 3rd downs. To be honest with you, the Rams team won this Super Bowl rather than Stafford leading, and he was brought in specifically to lead this team. That's why they gave up so much draft capital. That's why they gave up Goff for him to the Lions. Yeah, we'll get to Lions fans at some point, because I've got some things to say about them still this week. But, all in all, I was glad that he didn't get the MVP. I know Gaskins was the big proponent on our show about him, mostly just to annoy me. But he didn't do anything in this game that he hasn't ever really been known for anywhere else. I mean, yes, it was a 4th quarter comeback. Yes, he threw 2 interceptions. Did he go for 300 yards like Gaskins was expecting? Absolutely not. He didn't even go for the 283.5 that Shon put on our prop bets on Friday, because he went for 283, I believe, Shon. We were talking about earlier on. So, yes, I believe I was the only person to mention that he would be going under that yardage. So, all in all, Stafford didn't win this game for the Rams. The Rams won it for themselves. Cooper Kupp, again, coming out of, what is a stellar season, catching a couple of mediocre throws, a couple of calls that have gone Stafford's way. And, and yet I'm still seeing the Orlovskis of the world, claiming that he's a Hall of Famer now that he's won a Super Bowl. Kudos, he's won a Super Bowl. Well done. Congratulations. You did it with a loaded team. And this is what happens when LA buy a championship. This is kind of like the Yankees buying a World Series with all the talent. Yeah. Hang on, I'm not done. But, Orlovskis on Twitter, literally seconds after the game, calling Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry, but I just don't see it. Ken, you're the resident Packers fan here, and Stafford now has the same amount of Super Bowls as Rodgers. Now, I know this is going to be a sore subject, but Rodgers has had a surefire, Hall of Fame career if he decides to hang up, and that pains me to say that out loud, and it does. Is Stafford anywhere close to the kind of level of Hall of Fame status that in your respect as a Packers fan, Rodgers will be?
No, and I'm going to go ahead and take out the fandom. Period. When you look at team records, as a leader of your team, as a quarterback is, you should not have an 0 for something, 0 for 16 on your record. Shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen under your watch. Yeah, I don't think any MVP or any MVP should be allowed to have that on their resume.
How about 0-3 in the playoffs for the team that you played for 12 years? That's also a big.
I mean, that's not as big of a mark, because there's good teams in the playoffs. I'm looking back more at the regular season. And again, if we're comparing Rodgers and Stafford, let's compare the regular season.
This is the thing. I mean, for the Hall of Fame status, that all the Orlovskis of the world are now spouting. The comparisons they're throwing out there. He's won the same amount of Super Bowls now as Rodgers, which is one. And but for me, I mean, Rodgers has had a more outstanding winning percentage career, and that's with some bad Packers teams over the years as well. I mean, he's had to go. I mean, Rodgers had to go through some trials and tribulations with some seriously underperforming teams over the years and still make the playoffs and win playoff games. Stafford had 12 years with the Lions, and yes, I am a fan, and yes, my fandom will never come away from this. 0-3 record in the playoffs. He takes one, finally demands the trade to LA, and then one season he's all of a sudden he's a Hall of Famer. He was never a Hall of Famer in Detroit. Why the hell should he be a Hall of Famer in LA after one successful year where he wasn't even that good?
Well, and that's going to be everybody's argument is he played in the basement of mom's basement. If you can have a 2-story basement, I don't know. But, he played way down there. Like that's what everybody's argument is going to be. He was stuck in the cellar of Detroit and didn't get a chance. And he put up numbers in Detroit. He did.
Stafford. Yeah, we know the nickname for him. So, but I mean, Jason. I mean, I'm sorry, but you're a Michigan boy. You're a Lions fan yourself, much the same way as I am. Stafford is not a Hall of Famer. It can't be in your eyes, surely not.
Not yet, but I am also going to say, like, he's got a couple of years in LA to have another shot, do some domination.
How many more years do you think he's going to be? He's already played 13.
Yeah, he's got. I know he's up for. I know his contract's till the end of the next season, and then he's back to being a free agent and whatnot. There's talk already of a contract extension, but that all depends on what Sean McVay's doing. See, there's obviously rumors beginning before the Super Bowl about McVay may be done for a little while and taking a break after 6 years at the grand old age of 36. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know the NFL's a young man's sport, but 36 as a head coach and you've just won the Super Bowl seems like a bit of a weird age to retire. I can't be the only one that thinks that. Jace?
Yeah, I don't see him retiring. I don't see Donald retiring. I know it's all come out, but
yeah,
I think once they reflect, they'll be back. They'll try to run it back.
See, my thing with the Rams as well is that next year they've got serious cap issues. That's going to be what I'm going to ask you, Sean. I mean, you know more about the cap side of things than most people. I mean, the Rams next year, and with Stafford coming up for free agency, and if they want to extend him, he's going to want decent sized checks put in his hand. I mean, where does that leave the Rams in the cap situation side of things? Have you got any clear indication on this?
So going into free agency, the Rams have 15 players that will need contracts for next year off the Super Bowl roster. Rumors out of LA is that they have talked an extension with Matthew Stafford. Everything that I've read saying that he's going to take a price cut now that he has a Super Bowl. He's going to do a Tom Brady cap-friendly deal of 14 to 18 million. And that knocks off about 9 to 10 million off his deal. And I, unlike you and Jason, I think Aaron Donald retires. He goes and be dad. He's 11-year NFL player. Why not leave on top? It's not about his ego. He's done everything the man has set out to do. And his baby is adorable. And he's got a daughter.
He got to play in the confetti with his daughter, which is something he'd promised her for quite a while as well, and with a win at the Super Bowl. So
I think AD retires, and he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, I bit my tongue for about 20 minutes listening to you babble about Stafford being a Hall of Fame guy. But let's be serious here. There is one guy that you can compare him to with only one difference. He doesn't have a Super Bowl ring, in my opinion. If you're a voter, do you pick Phillip Rivers, for the Hall of Fame with no rings, or do you take Matt Stafford with the one ring? Because there is the debate you have to have, Mr. Pauly, because no offense here, I think Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think Matthew Stafford with the ring and doing what he did in the basement of Grandma's house was good, but again, do you really look at this saying, is Stafford Hall of Fame right now? In my opinion, Stafford would be maybe in the Hall of Fame, not on the first ballot, maybe down the road. But is Phillip Rivers a first ballot Hall of Famer?
That's a good question. To be fair, that's a good question to ask. And, as impartial as I can be, I would have to say no to both.
No to both. Absolutely. Why would you say no to Phillip Rivers?
As first ballot.
No to both. First ballot, absolutely no to both. I don't think that either of them are first ballot Hall of Fame. I don't think Stafford's a Hall of Famer at all. I think Rivers has got a case, but it would take him a few years. But I don't think Stafford is, even with the ring. Just because your team won a Super Bowl does not make you an automatic Hall of Famer, regardless of how you've padded your stats over the years.
You're comparing Matthew Stafford to a quarterback.
Hold on. I haven't.
There was a quarterback, Pauly. 2 years or 3 years ago. It would have been 5 because he just went into the Hall of Fame. That went there, and you're comparing to saying he's the same thing, which would be Peyton Manning going to the Broncos and leading them to a Super Bowl just with the defense. When Peyton Manning led that team, he was nothing of help. That was all Von Miller and those boys. The man couldn't even throw the ball 40 yards. He had a rushing game, and you're saying the same comparisons to Stafford. So you got to give you a little bit of a break.
No, I don't. And I'll tell you the reason why I don't is because, quite frankly, Stafford sucks ass. Simple as that. At the end of the day, Stafford is not a first ballot Hall of Famer for me. He never will be. Never will be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He wins 2 or 3 more?
No, not even then, because he even in this Super Bowl, winning this Super Bowl right now, he didn't show me anything he hasn't already shown me in Detroit. Which, with the interceptions that he threw were very Stafford-esque. He padded his stats as best he could, and he got bailed out by his wide receivers like Cooper Kupp and OBJ. Simple as that. Quite honestly, without that level of talent around him, like with all the fun toys that everybody says he's got in LA, that guy can't win for shit. And quite frankly, and I'm sorry, I tell you what, right? If you were to put Stafford on the Chiefs team, he'd still win that game. That's how inept he is, because the team around him has to be better. Now, I've never once stated that Stafford was the entirety of the problem in Detroit, because there was plenty of blame to go around. But Stafford also has to shoulder some of that blame. And this is why I have arguments with Lions fans all the time. At the end of the day, my displeasure is not about Stafford because of the way that, he's been charitable to the years that he's put in. What I blame him for, and what I've always said I blamed him for, is not opening his mouth when he should have done as a locker room leader with the Lions. As simple as that. And to be honest with you, when your supposed locker room leader opens his mouth for one thing and one thing only, and has to demand a trade to LA, that is not the type of person I would put in a Hall of Fame, not the type of person I would put in my locker room as a head coach, and quite frankly, not the kind of person I would work with in general day-to-day life. But anyway, right. I've got a couple of early nominees this week for Muppet of the Week already as well. I'm going to throw out the nominees today for Thursday's main show when we got our favorite redneck back. But the refs from the Super Bowl, for starters, for the really dodgy calls, they are definitely getting up there on Muppet of the Week. Also, Dan Orlovsky gets himself yet another mention for being a tool, because quite frankly, not even 30 seconds after Aaron Donald made that game-winning stop with 4th and 1, he's on Twitter claiming Stafford's a god and Hall of Fame. And this is where my Hall of Fame argument is coming from, quite frankly, because the Orlovskys of the world are the worst type of people. Yes, they're great friends, but they do not live in reality. Much in the same way that Shon doesn't, much in the same way that Gaskins doesn't, throwing 300 and getting a Super Bowl MVP. God damn it. At the end of the day, Just no. Orlovsky, no. Stop it. Stop being at all. And if anybody saw him on TV US this morning, well, can quite easily say the guy needs to take an acid bath and calm down. He really does. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining me again for the Super Bowl wrap up. Rams won, yay, whoopity-doo. Bengals will be back next year, I hope. Hopefully the Lions will be a little bit better. They've got nice 12 draft picks coming up. So in the draft, that'll be the next NFL thing we cover.
Hey, I got 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Let me do some talking here. Mr. John Gaskins is going to roll. So, boys, we're going to get into a recap of some bets that Paulie needs to move from his ass right now. Swear jar, I got $2 for John Gaskins. All right, Paulie.
Come on.
Been talking crap all night. So let's have a little fun with this. Paul's estimations. We picked the color Gatorade.
I went orange. It was blue. It was
Paul
orange.
says
I said orange and it was orange. Blue. I already know this.
Orange. Blue. My boy Jason, thank you so much for making me some money. I owe you one. That's $3 for that finger. The best bet. It was a lot of fun coming on this show, fellas. I want to say, first of all, thank you very much for having me. Hopefully I get to make
the last time.
If you want to lose your ratings, not John Gaskins will be back sometime to get those ratings back up and give Kenny K a little bit of help. But I want to thank you guys again. And, the prop bets were fun. I was laughing. I bet blue for Jason. Ken, we made a big joke about Jamar Chase. We had a huge debate about it. Talked before this show tonight. Over-under was 3.5. What's Chase give us? Chase gives us 4. So, 4's a winner. The hook on the over-under on Stafford, I will research that, but 283 and throw in 283.5, and he goes under by a half yard. What a
the only person to take sorry. Just that, Sean, answer me this question. Who was the only person on this show that took the under on that bet?
I think it was your wife. I think she filled in for that one, and she said Bad Santa.
And on that note, Bad Santa in the corner over there is going to never come back on this show. You, me, or my good wife. I will fly to Indiana and slap you around the face.
Hey, I would love to have you here. It would be great. I will go get you a case of Twinkies tomorrow because those are your favorite.
See, the man knows how to get to me. I'll give him that. All right.
Yeah, I do want to say this was a lot of fun. Our opening kickoff that me and Jason really thought was in the works. I mean, and something, Jason, in that Super Bowl, fun stat, not one was returned. I believe the one was on the 2-yard line and brought out once, but I believe that was more of a punt. I do not believe a kickoff was returned.
No kickoffs were returned.
I think it was all touchbacks.
And I do believe myself, Ken, and Gaskins all took the touchbacks on those as well. I know me, Gaskins, and Ken also took heads in the heads and tails and won that one. I was the only one that took Stafford under 283.5. I think most of us took Burrow under 2 something that you propped out as well.
278.5.
Yeah, I think all of us went under that one.
But Paul, I guess the main one, who'd you pick to win it all?
I took Cincy. And listen, I was all about the Burrow hype train. I will freely admit I was all over Burrow because, quite frankly, the kid deserved to win it, and he had the win up until the last 1 minute and 25 seconds of the fourth quarter. That's when the refs got involved for me, and that's when the game went completely lopsided and tits up. There's one for the swear jar. Thank you very much. Right.
You owe 6 to the swear jar with 3 for the finger.
Fine. I will put it in I'll take it from my account and put it in there for the Thursday show. All right. Sean, thanks very much for filling in for Gaskins tonight. It's been a pleasure having you, buddy. Ken, Jason, I will see you both on Thursday with the triumphant return of everybody's favorite redneck to DST. And obviously, please hit the like, subscribe button underneath. You can find Sean's TNT Dynamite Fantasy Football podcast links underneath there this week as well with this podcast. We hope you guys are having as much fun watching this as we are making it. And we will see you on Friday, actually. Sorry, not Thursday, Friday. So, guys, thanks very much. Peace, and I'm out.